You know, there are no short kings, only men who win at life. I wouldn't lie, being a short guy for most of my life, all of my life, I'd say, I often used to use that as an excuse. I would make it my entire identity, almost like, yeah, I'm that short guy. And it wasn't because of anything of my doing. People would make it clear that, hey, you're short. And some people would be more explicit, more bold, and say it to my face, which is fine. And others, it would be a little bit less direct with it. But the fact of the matter is that I made it a big part of my identity for a long, long time. And I wouldn't lie, when I was younger, um, I would have definitely been insecure about that. But as I grew older, I realized that it's one of my strengths. And you might ask yourself, well, why is it one of your strengths being short? When you look at it, people think that you're less than, or whatever the case may be, or they laugh at you, which is fine. But it became one of my strengths because I didn't use it as an excuse. In fact, I used it to propel me into self-development, self-motivation, wanting to succeed, wanting to just show others that, hey, despite my height, something that I cannot control, there are other things in my life that I can control. There are other things that I can achieve. You might use your height as an excuse to not put yourself out there, not approach the girl that you like, not do the things that you really want to do in life. That was me. But I realized not too long ago that you can't use physical attributes to be your entire identity. Your identity is something that is within. It's not external. It is deep and rooted. And so for you to really be a man that wins at life, you can't use your height as an excuse. Now, I don't know my height. I think I'm 5'5", 5'6". Well, a lot of people would call that short, right? In fact, just yesterday, as I was taking a taxi home, the taxi driver didn't know my name, so he called me Shorts. He said, "Shorts, we're going down." Yeah, that's what we say in Trinidad, right? We often use physical attributes to describe persons' names that we don't know. So we would say Shorts, Fats, Skinny Man. It's funny. It's actually funny. But the thing is, you can't take yourself too seriously as well. You can't take yourself too seriously because oftentimes we are short kings, as they say, short kings. We take ourselves too seriously and we become butthurt. But we have to realize that throughout history there have been so much, and I wrote it down actually, there have been so much short men that have achieved such great things. First and foremost, Beethoven. He was 5'3". I mean, look at Beethoven. When people mention Beethoven, no one thinks about his height. They think about how great his music was. Even to this day, classical music, he has impacted classical music on such a grand scale, but no one thinks about his height. He was 5'3". Picasso, a great artist who revolutionized the 20th century. Man, he was 5'4". Bruno Mars, 5'5". Tom Cruise, 5'7". Kevin Hart, 5'5". Kendrick Lamar, 5'6". But no one thinks about those guys' heights. They think about what they have to offer to society. And that is what really shaped my thinking when I really thought about it. What can I offer? What can I do as an individual, not as a short person, but as an individual, a man? What can I contribute to society? How can I develop myself to such an extent that I become known for not my height, but what I offer? So I'm just going to leave you guys with this short message. Do not let your external features be your identity. Yes, we're on this journey together. We're developing together. We're becoming stronger. We're becoming more lean. we're developing ourselves, but at the end of it all, our height, how big we are, how small we are, everything, all of that, is just by the wayside. We're trying to build the man on the external, but also the man on the internal. So your identity has to come from what you do, the things that you do, going to the gym, doing your cardio. I'm about to do some cardio. I'm actually at a stadium here, and I'm gonna do 30 minutes of skipping, 30 minutes of running. But outside of the external, your identity is based on your internal work. So let's do the external work, boys, guys, and let's also do the internal work. There are no short kings, only men that win at life.